20 degrees and 7:11, 7:12 right now on this Sunday morning. We're talking tech with our Chris expert, Chris Abel. Lots to get to. Good morning to you, Chris.
Hi, good morning, Joanne.
Okay, I'm looking at this photo that you sent of these Samsung's Galaxy folding phones and tablets. First of all, it looks like it's a handful, and I feel like we can never keep up with the new changing technologies. But the flip phone, the folding phone is back? Explain.
Okay, so now Samsung has spent several years creating what's called a folding phone. These are the phones that have magical screens where you've got the screen and so the screen can fold in half. There's a magical hidden sort of hinge there. And so the advantage is that, for example, in what they're calling the Fold 8, it starts off as looking like a regular smartphone and then it opens like a book. And now the screen is now 8 inches in size. That means it's now become an 8-inch tablet. So you're going from a transformation from having a smartphone to suddenly having a tablet. Samsung's been playing around with this technology for several generations. They're now at the point where they feel it's gotten so good they can make this their main phone. And so the advantage with the Fold 8 is that when it turns into a tablet, now you've got not just a larger screen and better space to kind of work on, but they say they've now got it so that you can take one app, and that's the left-hand side of the screen, and a second app running on the right-hand side of the screen. So you can now take information from one app and then feed it into the other app. This is great for multitasking, for being able to take a look at two different sources of information and work on it for a various project or, for example, planning a vacation, something like that. So that's really cool.
It's really cool, and it's not necessarily just a plain old flip phone because the screen itself folds and expands, right? The flip phone had one side was for the buttons and the other side was for the tiny screen. This just makes it turns a phone into a tablet essentially.
And then you have the other flip phone or foldable that they've launched, which is called the Flip 8. So you've got the fold, and then we've got the flip. The flip is meant to be much like an old retro flip phone.
Okay.
In that, it starts off as a square little pocket-sized device. It's got screens on the outside so you can quickly look at things without actually having to open up your phone. And then when you open it, it turns into a much more of a portrait-style camera. And what I love about the flip is that it's just fun. Lots of fun colors. There's really cool, girlish pink. But when you open it, there's a screen on the outside as well as the inside. So when you're lining up a photo, the person that you're taking a photograph, they can see the photo that you're lining up.
Oh,
which is
that's
really,
cool.
really neat.
Okay.
And then if you only fold it halfway, you can now hold it like it's an old retro handy cam camcorder, which is great for recording videos. They have a new feature called the fan cam. You can actually have it focus on one person. And so it's kind of like the old steady cam feature where it keeps everything kind of plain and level, but now it can actually focus on just following one person as you're recording the video. Very cool, very fun, the Flip 8.
That's very modern retro. Anyway, they range from anywhere from 2,000. It starts about at 1,500 and goes all the way to 2,400. So it's an investment, but you listen, if that's your thing, that's your thing. Okay, robots are making their way to the hair salon. Explain.
So there's this woman, she's a Nigerian-American Harvard graduate, and she was, during the pandemic, decided to try to braid her own hair. And this turned out to be a very, very hard and difficult task.
Yeah.
And so she thought, okay, is this something that robots could help with? Robots, of course, the best advantage is if they can take on something that's a very laborious and repetitive task. And so she has developed a robot assistant that can work for salons to help with the very cumbersome process of braiding hair. So the stylist will come over, she parts your hair scalp, she starts the initial knot, and then that gets handed over to this robot. There's a camera that can analyze your hair strands, and then the robot starts to perform the process of the over-under of taking two strands and folding them over to create the braid.
Oh, wow.
I don't know much about this, being somebody with very, very short hair, but apparently when you go to a salon and you book this can be like 6 hours.
Yes, I have a girlfriend who gets her hair braided once or twice a year, and it can go up to 7-8 hours depending on the length. So
which
this
is just, oh my God.
Yeah. I don't know that everyone would trust the robot, but I guess, maybe give it a year or two to sort of figure out if it's working out, and then you book that appointment. So that is the robot braiding that braids hair. We We have to
called
talk about.
hair-braiding. She says she's already got a waiting list of 7,000 salons.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. K-pop Demon Hunters. Now, that was a huge thing. Everyone was obsessed with the show, with the music, and now there is a singing sword. Please explain.
So Hasbro, which has had a lot of success creating lightsabers for Star Wars fans, these are, of course, that light up and then they can act in response to your movements, creating sound effects and stuff like that, is now coming out with a K-pop Demon Hunters singing sword. And what that means is not only does the sword light up and, of course, create sound effects when you move it, but it'll actually go through a range of different colors and respond to music. So if you're playing the K-pop Demon Hunters song soundtrack, the sword will synchronize.
Oh, that's
with
so
music.
fun.
Isn't that fun? And then on top of that, because Hasbro knows that a lot of this is about cosplaying. You want to dress as your favorite character.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people who dress as K-pop Demon Hunters. Now, if you start singing, the sword will synchronize to your singing.
Okay. So depending on your level of talent even, it'll adapt. Okay, that's very fun. And by the way, if you're asking what the K-pop Demon Hunters sort of craze is, just do a quick Google search. This is huge. The music is huge. The show is huge. I mean, people went crazy over all of this. Real Chris Abel, KRISAB. EL. That's Real Chris Abel together. This is where you can follow along on Chris's many adventures on Instagram. Chris, thank you so much for taking the time. It's always so much fun.
Yay. Thank you.
All right. We'll talk again next week.